25th anniversary edition from 2021. Welcome back to Build Theory. I'm Aurian Archive, and today we're picking up on something that I've mentioned in passing before, but very rarely get around to directly addressing, and that's why I generally don't use flight on characters with any significant number of melee powers. Now, obviously, what's on the screen in front of us today is a Peacebringer, which has a mix of ranged, targeted AoE, point blank AoE, and melee attacks. Now, the reason I'm playing Peacebringer to demonstrate what's going on here is that, well, it's the only melee character I have that has a native flight power. And hopefully, uh, what we'll wind up demonstrating is the practical issues that were implemented as a result, if you will, of the limitations in the limitation. Keeping in mind that City of Heroes was designed in a time period in which most players probably had a 33K phone modem. Few may have had a 56K. Uh, and one of the things to kind of notice is when I'm flying around, and a Peacebringer is a pretty poor example of this, so we'll using the melee attacks up and away. Now, some of this is not as prevalent as it was in the past. And to give a more accurate view of what it would be like, we'll turn Combat Flight, which is the Peacebringer version of Hover, off, and we'll go straight into flight. And you'll note how I suddenly just exit from a mob, and you can very easily kite enemies. Now, in a Peacebringer, kiting an enemy and then following up with another attack isn't really that hard. And there has been some significant work done to travel decay. Okay, we'll try and stick to gonna have to toss on. This is not as painful as I remember it being, and I think this is in large part due to the uh, significant upgrade that travel powers have gotten as of late. And also, I'm not playing a character that's strictly reliant on melee attacks. But the switch off between fast flight does actually give me a significant advantage when it comes to putting down damage. Maybe it wasn't quite the right character to demonstrate issues with fly on. Okay. Getting locked into animations. What is my flight speed? Alright, well, that also kind of explains. Like, I'm honestly shocked because this is nowhere near as painful as I remember it being. And the reason why it's not painful is that looking at my flying speed is not actually dropping below 37 mph in combat. With hover on, what are we at? We're still at 37.66. Okay, so uh, the primary issues with flight and melee appear to have been addressed by quality of life changes. Uh, I really don't have a good reason not to use flight in a melee build other than when you have a power set uh, that has power to only operate when you're near the ground. Now, we kind of saw this with the Traps Energy Defender as I was building that, where some powers only worked if you were on the ground and level with the opponent you were trying to take down, or you couldn't set the traps unless you were very close to the ground, whereas most other melee powers don't really have that restriction. Uh, okay, nice thing to know that the quality of life changes do mean that taking flight, stacking flight with. Well, hold on. I'm keeping something in mind here. What are my defense values? High power sources. Okay, well, okay, we are drop them. Okay, what are my defenses? Okay, I'm actually now soft capped to melee smashing. Whoa, something just hit me that debuffed me. Okay, longbow. But I am into constant melee smashing lethal defense with combat jumping, combat flight, and energy flight on all at the same time. And I'm actually moving quite quickly. Meet my seekers. All right, so the point of the stream actually turned out to be pretty pointless because of quality of life upgrades. Wow, that's oh well. I was really prepared for this to be a pause-induced fest of being unable to run from one location to the other. But not having the flight speed crater. Let's see if I can get a few of these guys to follow me around this corner. Come on. Follow me back here. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's actually solar flare that's on pop 4. Because there's luminous detonation, which is my targeted AoE. And now, another quality of life change is solar flare can actually be activated in flight, which is a great quality of life upgrade. See, this is why you should always read the patch notes. Okay, let's see if we can get them all to join me. Okay, that's a good bunch. And boom. Oh, we are out of endurance. Okay, you want to do the... You want to go pom-pom to pom-pom? We can go pom-pom to pom-pom. Okay. Rock this. Yeah, and if you were paying attention to the energy resistance over here, no, having all of my toggles drop off did not did not stop my resistance. Because I am rocking close to perma light form. Let's get some of our defense back. Get some of our resist back. And yeah, that's also one of the reasons why I'm doing it like this. Is you may have noticed I'm also at level 44, so I don't actually have the incarnate powers, which in this case is the ageless radial debuff resistance. And I thought this would really be a bigger noticeable bump on the travel, but apparently not. Alright, let's get some of these guys out here. Come on, follow me, follow me. Come on, follow me around the corner. Be good, little longbow. Okay. And we're almost out of endurance again. Oh, he just buffed. Oh well. I'm actually just going to toss that on auto. Since we got 50 seconds or so and bring the bill back up. Alright. So the Peakbringer itself is Glinting Eye is holding the heal proc. That's also why I put that on auto. Because this now having a chance to heal me every time that hits that boss standing over there. Gleaming Bass picks up the Apocalypse Chant for negative damage. Radiant Strike is all the way with a kinetic combat. I'll also note that I did not mitigate the knockback on Radiant Strike. And sometimes, because you're a Peacebringer and you have a wide array of ranged powers, knocking an enemy away with Radiant Strike isn't really a big deal, as I've just been kind of showing as the mission goes on, and that boss we took down. It's going to be another officer. Okay. Manage. Okay, so anyway, so Luminous Detonation, I do have the knockback mitigated on because I really don't want to send an entire mob flying. Inner Light, is that's a 2-hit buff recharge. And a quick look here. Um, we have a long-term 2-hit and strength damage for 30 seconds. So I'll bring up and point at the timer when we go back out to the other screen. All right, Incandescent Strike is has a hold component, so it got Superior Blistering Cold chance for hold, and that just maximizes your chance to really hold something outright. Solar Flare, which is the PBAOE melee attack, is mitigated with sudden acceleration. Dawn Strike is mitigated with sudden acceleration. Photon Seeker is also mitigated with sudden acceleration. And in our toggles, Incandescent, which is an auto, picks up our resistant defense. One of the few cases where you'll see me without having done the level 30 +5. And that's because with Perma Light Form, I really didn't need to maximize the resistance on this. And then we pick up our regeneration and our teleport protection. Energy Flight, which only has a single range endurance, so it's not anywhere close to capping the flight speed. Shining Shield, and this is kind of a scaling build. It is meant to scale up and down, since our +5s here are purples. It not really a big deal for Luminous Detonation and Dawn Strike and Inner Light, since they're not giving a defense bonus. A Radiant Strike, which is giving a defense bonus through kinetic combat at 35 +5. So this is really targeted to mid-range, and it's a light melee, strong smashing lethal. But with hover and combat flight up, I don't need these bonuses around level 30 to be into at least one kind of soft cap. Essence Boost is Panacea to save a slot and to get the recharge time. Combat Flight, which is just a look at the Gambler proc. Quantum Shield, which as a toggle picks up resist endurance recharge. Conserve Energy, which is maximized for recharge. Light Form, which is maximized for recharge, and also picks up Synapses Shock for both that run speed boost. Quantum Maneuvers, just really a proc holder. And then looking down this side, Maneuvers, standard catalyze, attune the procs, maximize the endurance recovery. I am running Assault to pick up some damage. And you can see here that Boxing and Kick, since they are not in the normal attack chain, are catalyzed, so they're attuned to give the scaling bonus up and down. Weave, same thing as Maneuvers. And that's really it for those powers over there. Let's go back in. And you can see here how many powers I've kind of just skipped over. Don't have Quantum Flight, don't have the self-res. Picked up Glowing Touch. Where is it? Oh, Glowing Touch. And Glowing Touch is just holding the Absorb proc all the way down here. So it's, yes, I can heal and heal a friend, but not really for that much. And likewise, didn't take Reform Essence because I really don't need it. Okay. Keeping an eye on Light Form. 142, hit Hasten, down to 121. 1 minute, 30 seconds. So just by hitting Hasten, I'm driving near Perma Light Form. And it is definitely Perma Light Form once Ageless and Agility Incarnate are cranking. Or Spiritual Core. I forget which one I've got here. Agility. Yeah, Spiritual will give you a little bit more on the heals. And thermal shield, skipped it. I've got the shining shield, I've got the quantum shield, and I've got the quantum maneuvers. And this is one where, since we were running quantum maneuvers earlier, okay, without quantum maneuvers up, I'm trying to move around as soon as I attack, and you'll notice that my movement speed is drastically capped. Attack, I'm down to 25.94 miles per hour travel speed. We'll put quantum maneuvers back up, and I'm back up to 37. So that is, without the travel power changes, that would be even slower. And quantum maneuvers gives you a little bit of, or supposedly gives you a little bit of defense. But not much. I must be missing something in here. Alright, there we go. Our smashing defense and melee defense have jumped up without attacking with combat maneuvers on. Turn it off, and that's what our numbers look like. So yeah, part of the reason this wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be is that I had quantum maneuvers turned on, but okay. It's one of those. Nice to know. Pesky longbow. There's the entrance. Okay, I am now officially confused. I've got no red dots indicating that I've... Did I miss an elevator? There's those guys. Straight ahead? Oh. Hi. I am officially blind. And there we go. Warden is held. Alright, keep an eye on inner light. 30 seconds. So with hasten in effect, inner light is effectively permanent, which means that you are always running a 30% damage boost, and you're also running a permanent 2 hit boost. Okay, where? Okay, mission almost over. Sorry, give me a second working on something else. Okay, there we go. Mission over. All right. As I said, that was not quite how I expected that to go. I really expected things to be a little bit more painful to move about with, but with various travel power upgrades, yeah, using flight in a melee centric build, doable. I'm not sure how well it would actually work in practice if you didn't have. Well, this is called quantum maneuvers, and flight, on regular flight. Let's see what that would be called. I think that's evasive maneuvers. Uh, so evasive maneuvers, self plus fly, played, resist, fly, mobilize, defense all plus flight control. Okay, so in order to, um, in order to not have a miserable experience while getting in and out of mobs, you're either going to have to invest heavily in base flight speed, base movement speed, which is easy to do, or you're going to need to go deep on flight for evasive maneuvers. So I can see if I was doing a flight specific melee build, I probably would, want to take flight and go all the way down to evasive maneuvers, simply because that extra flight control makes moving around so much easier. That's something that where obviously I hadn't tested before. I walked into this blind, kind of going like, well, what am I going to talk about? What has somebody brought up? And one of the players who's had lots of questions has always been like, I've always used flight on all of my characters, and not using flight is just I am not used to that. And okay, flight's a really good power. A really good travel power. It's one of the safest travel powers because you could just always go up and over unless you're flying through the Shadow Shard. Uh, so having at least in game where yes, using flight on a melee centric build is actually plausible, possible. You may want to do that. Uh, you still have to take cover or air superiority to get evasive maneuvers. Uh, but okay, yeah, definitely possible. Wouldn't It's not going to be my first choice. Simply because if you go with Mighty Leap or experimentation, speed of sound, or super jump, or regular speed, or even mystic flight, you get something. You get something extra going deep into those pools. Whereas going deep into flight really just gives you, well, now you can move between melee mobs very, very quickly, almost as fast as if you were, because it's, unless you're focusing on it, it's very easy to build up run speed boost and keep a very high running effect, a base run speed, versus keeping a high. Actually, I may just be able to show that. on this character even. Let's bring it back down. Okay, and we'll bring up and look at our combat attributes. So our base running speed. Okay, let's start cranking up our flying speed. And I'm going to look for a sprint. Did I pass it? Ninja run. Okay, we're going to pull down. Actually, we're going to put ninja run up there. And no, I guess I didn't pass it. There it is, sprint. And we'll run sprint. Okay, now I need to go find something to beat up on. But we're looking at our run speed and our flight speed. And this is with both sprint and ninja run active. We're going to turn on quantum maneuvers just to give us our biggest boost. So we're running 59, 83 on run speed, flying speed. And we're running 61 on jump. Okay, there's a tarantula. We're going to go ahead and hit it. All right, 39, 37, 41. So what you just saw there was with a single attack, and we'll do it again, attack 39, 37, 41. My base run speed lost a lot less base performance compared to my flight speed and compared to my jump speed. Both my jump speed and my base running speed stayed significantly higher and actually got in front of my flying speed despite the fact that I have more native flight boosts going on. And that's one of the reasons why, uh, in practice, historically speaking, without having, and let's do this again, we'll take the quantum maneuvers off. We'll find something to target it. 39, 25, 41. So again, I've changed nothing else, but my run speed and my jump speed stayed much higher than my flight speed. That's looking at going back to my enhancement screen. I have a flight and swift. I don't have swift maximized to run. But because of the way the various travel speeds work up and the base speeds work, you lose a lot less base speed moving around when attacking on running and jumping. And this is why you'll see a lot of players who jump from one enemy to the next, because they're not losing as much of their speed jumping or running. And this is where Mystic Flight's teleport is very useful, because you can just teleport to the next mob. Okay, now you take a second, maybe longer than the transfer in and out of your maximum speeds. But it is something to keep in mind where, yes, flight is no longer, especially if you've taken the evasive maneuvers, or in my case, quantum maneuvers, if you've taken that, then flight can be very, very quick, almost as fast or running or jumping from enemy to enemy. But you are still taking an obvious hit on performance unless you are explicitly trying to cram in as many flight boosts as you possibly can. And for the most part, if you're cramming in flight boosts, you're cramming in travel power boosts in general. And if you're cramming in power boosts in general, your running and jump speeds are likewise going to increase as much, if not better. And again, it's kind of showing off. Attacking an enemy, my flight just cratered where my running and jumping did not. Okay, so I did show what I wanted to show, just not when I wanted to show it or how I expected to show it. But I hope that gives you an idea of why you don't see flight on my melee builds. I'm just not willing to go deep into flight for evasive maneuvers for something that only benefits me as the player, doesn't offer any benefit to my teammates, doesn't actually improve the character, doesn't have for any substantial benefit other than you can move from enemy to enemy a little bit quicker, just not as quick as if you were going if you were trying to do that using run or jump.